Hello and welcome to Dave Makes Stuff. Today's job is to make a set of rock sliders for our Audi TT. What I've got to do is chop off the outer sill panels, always enjoy that bit, and then install some reinforcement so that if we get stuck on a rock or otherwise beached off-road, we can just haul the car off it without suffering too much damage. The outer sill panels are fine for making the car look good, but they do trap a lot of mud and over time you can see it's rusted right through. And here's the cut off bit in all its manky glory. Somehow I don't think we'll be putting that back on. I will cut out and patch the rust on the car body shell itself. There are probably better bodywork repair videos out there, but maybe not so many showing scaffy bar being welded to an Audi TT. I did think about literally welding it on, but it's a bad idea for a few reasons, so let's make some brackets instead. This old shelving beam is available and it's galvanised, it'll do. I figured 6 would be a good number. I was wrong, eventually I used 5. Never mind. Brackets aren't great if you can't attach them to something, so we'll have 4 5mm holes in there so we can rivet it later. We'll then have the bracket under the body welded onto our rock slider bar sticking out the side of it. For the first bracket, it's reasonably straightforward. Clamp it against the bottom of the car with one jack, support the tube with another jack, and then just tack weld it all together initially. However, seeing as welding is more or less the process of sticking things together with liquid metal, it works a whole lot better when you're not asking it to defy gravity at the same time. Much easier just to take it out and weld it somewhere where I can get over the top of it. Welding through the zinc is not the greatest idea, and it leaves deposits on the metal afterwards which need cleaning up. But for the purposes of this, it'll be okay. Trust me, I'm a YouTuber. Wait, engineer. Can we record that again? So, first bracket in. Now I can temporarily rivet it in position and start with a demonstration of exactly how not to weld a bracket on. This method did minimise the amount of stuff in the way in a tight space, but yeah, you don't need me to say this is a bad idea for it to be a bad idea. But there we are. Once tacked on, because I've only got one rivet in, I can swing the whole thing out, and then once again I can weld it in from above so that hot melty metal goes on the parts, not on my trousers. And then as if by magic, it's rinse and repeat until the rest of the brackets are in place, whereupon I can trial a fantastic new invention known as welding gloves. Yes sir, these gloves let you weld without blasting your fingers with UV, available from, oh I don't know, wherever. Hardware stores, Amazon, all the places. And here I'm going to use them once again. This would be because scaffolding bar is hollow and I don't want it full of mud and rust and rainwater and mice. And speaking of rust traps, I figured that probably the best way to deal with the sill panel was to trim it back a bit. Either that or I just wanted to get the angle grinder out again. This way we get to keep the bit that forms the step into the cabin, but we get rid of all the rust traps that form the holes in the sill. But then I did start to wonder whether the outer panel was worth keeping at all. Fortunately at this point, I was joined by a man who looked like Robinson Crusoe who'd been stranded on an island with a gallon of factor 300 sun cream and nothing else. He helped me take off the plastic trim panel, and that left me clear to unbolt the remains of the sill panel that was underneath it. So that's one rust trap fixed. So now it's back to the rock slider itself. Now we can rivet the front end in place permanently and work our way round to the back, but we're not going to leave it just to these brackets to do the job on their own. For even greater stiffness and strength, we're going to have another row of brackets, thankfully not on the underside this time. These will be vertical brackets riveted to the outside of the sills. As usual, these are cut from thick galvanised steel and then drilled, and then by far the easiest way to attach them is to drill and rivet them to the bodywork first, and then weld them onto the rock slider afterwards. So that's going to look a little something like this. And here, because the scaffolding bar is thick and the bracket is thin, I'm biasing the weld pool so that it sits primarily on the thick metal and just catches the edge of the bracket. Next up, I'm going to repeat the process for the second bracket, but this time I need the strength of 10 tigers, or just a long arm riveter, because I found my stainless steel rivets and they need much more strength to fit, but they don't corrode and fall out. So I have since replaced the temporary aluminium ones. And behold, rock sliders. I can quite happily jack the side of the car up on it, which I think bodes well for when we take it out and test it. So, wait, what do you mean you've only done one side? What are you trying to say? Just because I haven't shown you the other side doesn't mean I've not done... Alright, just give me a minute. Better? Honestly, some people are never satisfied. Anyway, as I was saying, voila, one set of rock sliders. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do subscribe. Not only does it make it easy for you to follow the rest of the project, it also gives the YouTube algorithm a nudge, which in turn makes me happy. So yeah, please let me know what you think, and hopefully see you in the next one.